So let us speak about euphemisms. There are words in every language which people instinctively try to avoid to use because they are considered rude, indecent, indelicate, too direct, or impolite. And this device is dictated by social conventions, which are sometimes apt to be oversensitive, see indecency where there is none, and seek refinement in absurd avoidances and pretentiousness. So in fact, a lot of euphemisms are too pretentious and even absurd. However, on the other hand, euphemisms may of course be used due to genuine concern, not to hurt someone's feelings. For example, a liar can be described as a person who does not always strictly tell the truth. And a stupid man can be said to be not exactly brilliant, or someone ugly can be said not exactly beautiful, and so on. So now let us deal with the definition of the word euphemism, and then let's deal with different examples of euphemisms. So euphemism is a substitution for an expression that may offend or suggest something unpleasant to the receiver, using instead an agreeable or less offensive expression, or to make it less troublesome for the speaker. Now let us deal with different kinds of examples of euphemisms. The word lavatory has naturally produced many euphemisms, and I suppose it is clear why the word lavatory produced so many euphemisms, because there's a certain kind of offensive referent standing behind this word, yes? And here some of euphemistic substitutes for the word lavatory: powder room, washroom, restroom, retiring room, comfort station, or public station, ladies' room, gentleman's room, water closet, public conveniences, and even Windsor Castle, which is, as you can guess, a comical phrase for deciphering water closet. Well, pregnancy is another topic for delicate references, and here are some of the euphemisms used as substitutes for the adjective pregnant. In an interesting condition, in a delicate condition, in the family way, with a baby coming, with child, or big with child, expecting. The apparently innocent word trousers, not so long ago, had a great number of euphemistic equivalents, and some of them quite funny, as you can see, yes? Unmentionables, inexpressibles, indescribables, unwhisperables, you must not mention them, sit-upons. So nowadays, however, nobody seems to regard this word as indecent anymore, and so its euphemistic substitutes are no longer in use, fortunately. And now let us deal with examples from fiction. To tell the truth, the love of affectation, which displays itself in the excessive use of euphemisms, has never been a sign of good taste or genuine refinement. In fact, it is quite the opposite. And writers, fiction writers, have often ridiculed pretentious people for their weak attempts to express themselves in a delicate and refined way. So now let us deal with the example from The Kite by Somerset Maugham. Mrs. Sunbury never went to bed, she retired. So to retire in this ironical passage is a euphemistic substitute for to go to bed. So instead of simply saying she went to bed, so the author uses euphemism retire, she retired. Yes. So another lady in Rain, in the short story by the same author, by Somerset Maugham, easily surpasses Mrs. Sunbury in the delicacy of her speech. She says that there are so many mosquitoes on the island that all the ladies are given a pillow slip to put their lower extremities in. So the speaker considers the word legs to be indelicate and substitute for it its formal synonym, I would say quite a stupid synonym, lower extremities, yes? And so the substitution, as you can see, makes the character speech pretentious, ridiculous, and even absurd. So let us deal with some more examples. Eating is also regarded as unrefined by some minds. Hence, such substitutes as to partake of food, of refreshment, to refresh oneself, to break bread are used. So the words associated with drunkenness are also numerous. The adjective drunk, for instance, has a great number of such substitutes. For example, intoxicated, under the influence, tipsy, mellow, fresh, high, merry, flustered, overcome, full, boiled, fried, tanked, tight, stiff, pickled, soaked, 3 shits to the wind, high as a kite, half seas over. As you can see, the final ones are slangs, yes? In the following extracts, we find slang substitutes for 2 other unpleasant words, prison and imprison. Oh no, he isn't ill, I said, and as regards accidents, it depends on what you call an accident. He is in chokey. In what? In prison. So chokey is used as a substitute for the word prison, yes? And now Mr. Sippely is in the jug. He couldn't calm himself because he was jugged for beefing a cop. So he was jugged, that means he was imprisoned, yes, and it's euphemistic substitute. And now let us speak about taboos, about superstitious taboos. So all the euphemisms that have been described so far by us used to avoid the so-called social taboos. And their use, as has already been said, as has already been mentioned, is inspired by social convention. And superstitious taboos give rise to the use of other type of euphemisms. And it is, in fact, the reluctance to call things by their proper names, which is also typical of this type of euphemism, but this time it is based on a deeply rooted subconscious fear. Superstitious taboos have their roots in the distant past of mankind, when people believed that there was a supernatural link between a name and the object or creature it represented. So therefore, all the words denoting evil spirits or dangerous animals or the powers of natures were taboo. So if uttered, it was believed that unspeakable disasters would result not only for the speaker but also for those near them, yes, near him. The proverb, "Speak of the devil and he will appear," must have been used and taken quite literally, yes, when it was first used. And the fear of calling the devil, by the way, by name, was certainly inherited from ancient superstitious beliefs. So now let us deal with some substitutes of the word devil. So the word devil became taboo, and a number of euphemisms were substitutes for it. For example, the Prince of Darkness, the Black One, the Evil One, Dickens, Deuce, Old Nick, and so on. Even in our modern times, old superstitious fears still lurk behind words associated with death and fatal diseases. So people are less superstitious nowadays, yes, let us say. So we cannot say that they are not superstitious at all. They are less superstitious nowadays, and yet they are surprisingly reluctant, if you noticed, to use the verb to die, which has a long chain of both solemn and humorous substitutes, such as to pass away, to be taken, to breathe one's last, to depart this life, to close one's eyes, to yield or give up to the ghost, to go to the way of all flesh, to go west, to kick off, to check out, to kick the bucket, to take a ride, to hop the twig, to join the majority. Now let us deal with some other examples. So mental diseases also cause the frequent use of euphemisms. A mad person may be described as insane, mentally unstable, unbalanced, unhinged, not quite right, not all there, off one's head, off one's rocker, wrong in the upper story, having bats in one's belfry, crazy as a bedbug, cuckoo, nutty, off one's nuts, loony, a mental case, a mental defective, and so on. So a clinic for such patients can also be discreetly referred to as, for instance, an asylum, sanatorium, mental institution, and less discreetly as a nut house, booby hedge, loony bin, and so on.